Hi Joy, it's Linda from Banjo's Bead House. First of all, I want to say sorry it's taken so long to get this video to you. We've just been a little bit crazy. But we thought we'd show you 4 different earring styles that you can make today. And then if you let us know which of the styles you'd like to proceed with as some options, then we'll put some kits together for you, send you photos before you order them. So I'll get Mum to come around since she's videoing me and we'll take you through the 4 kits. So the first one is a really simple set of lever back earrings. So they go into the ear. You simply close and you can glue in a cabochon. And this little guy here is a cabochon. From next, we have another cabochon setting, but this time it's into a little pendant drop. And you attach some ear hooks. The next one we're going to do is using a head pin, some gorgeous little turquoise, and some bead caps. And lastly, I'm going to do a double drop earring with some Swarovski crystal. And again, you'll be using a head pin and some ear hooks. So just to take you through a few of the other things I'm using, I'll be using E6000 glue. I'm going to use my big working tube, but this is a nice little handy working size. I'll also be using a metal ruler. 15 centimeter one is great size when you're doing earrings. And I also want to walk you through some other basic tools that you'll hear about in jewelry making. So these are a round nose pair of pliers. You can see they have a nice cone shape on them. So these are used when you're curling wire, and that's all we use them for. We don't use them as a pair of pliers because what that'll do is damage the little tip here, and that will make it really hard when you're actually trying to do some coil work. The guys that you use for opening and closing things are your traditional pliers, and there is 3 styles of these. We have the chain nose, which come together in a point, a bent chain nose, which also come together in a point but have a nice curve, and then you have flat nose. And flat nose comes in different thicknesses, but this is a pretty standard size one. So each of these get used for different parts of jewelry making when you're opening and closing things or needing to squash things. The other basic in your toolkit should be a pair of flush cutters. And what do I mean by flush cutter? This side is flush, and that's the side that goes to the finished piece that you're working on. So if you're cutting a piece of wire, as I'll try and do on one of these, you'll see me have this side with the beads on this side. And lastly, we're also going to show you a specialist tool, which is the looper, which is going to make making loops really easy and consistent, and it's fantastic for making quick and simple earrings. So I'm going to start with the simplest project and work my way up so you can see a variety of different skills. So these guys, it's as simple as glue and set. So as I said, this is my big tube of E6000. I like to work with it in a Vegemite jar because it makes it really easy. E6 is an industrial adhesive, so warm soapy hands, washing your hands afterwards. Don't eat while you've got the glue on your fingers. And all I'm doing, as you can see, I've just got a wad of that glue up, and I'm just scraping some off because I got too much on. That should be enough off, and this is where a big tube is good because you can smush it on. But you can see I've just got a thin layer of glue sitting on there. All I then do is pick up my earring setting and I'm going to pop that cabochon in. Now I've made it so that I've got my scales in this particular one facing upwards because it actually throws off the most beautiful light of this particular cabochon, and we've got lots of different cabochons in the range and they're all up on the website. But that's as easy as making a pair of earrings, so they're ready to go. The glue does need 24 hours to cure, but, you know, dead easy. And so we'll do that again. It's just a simple slide of glue, scrape off any excess, and again, the side of the jar is good for that. On the side, it'll just dry into a gummy residue, and you can just peel it off. And I'm just popping that in. And I have an instant pair of earrings, and you can see that took me less than a minute to do. Probably took me more time to go find the findings and the cabochons than it did to actually make them, but that's a very quick way of making a simple drop earring. The next one, I'm going to use these blue glitter cabochons. So exactly the same process. It's a little scrape of glue. So we've got glue. And I've just got a little bit on my finger, so I'm just going to squish that into the setting first. Because this styler cab, there is no up, down, left, right, so I can just glue it straight into the setting. So there's my little glitter disco blue, and I'm just going to repeat that. And get the excess off there. And just drop him into the setting like so. And again, that's a 24 hours and he is nice and tight, not coming out. I'm just going to put the cap on my glue because we're all done with glue now. To finish these guys and to turn them into earrings, I personally like to work with my bent nose pliers. They're my favorite to use, but you could equally do this with a pair of chain nose pliers. And all you need to do is on the back of the earring, so holding it like this helps. On the back of the earring, after the ball, there is a little opening there. And I'm using what they call a French wire with ball and spring, or a shepherd's hook. And I'm just threading that on. And I will be making another one so you can see that again. And I'm twisting that close. And so that's simple. And I've made a drop earring just using a cabochon pendant setting and a little cabochon.
The next one, turn it sideways so she can see.
Okay. So grabbing my ear hook again, I'm just covering the ball and the spring with my thumbnail, and you can see the little opening there, and I am twisting that open, and just so you can see now the ball is going to drop down into that space created by the open loop. So that's my little loop that's now opened, and I'm just threading that guy on so you can see he's just hanging there, pushing that ball back up out of the way, and just, oops, balls like to slide, close and just giving that a gentle squeeze. And again, in a couple of minutes, that pair of earrings is all done. Now again, because it's got E6000 glue, they will need 24 hours for that cabochon to fully set and cure, but a very quick, simple pair of earrings to make. So we're halfway through our earring projects for you, Joy. Hope you are still paying attention, still enjoying this, I should say. The next one we're going to use bead caps. Now, bead caps are these little guys. This is the down view. That's the top view. So this one's got a little leaf edge detail. Now, the reason we use bead caps, actually, before we get to that, we're going to be also using what we call a head pin. Now, this is a piece of wire designed for curling and for using in earrings. The head pin is denoted by the fact it's flat here. If it's got a circle on the end, then it's called an eye pin, but we're using head pins to start with today. Now, why are bead caps important when we're using head pins? Well, you can see this bead I've just pulled. He's got a rather large hole on him. If I thread that on, as you can see, he's not going to stay. So this is where we'd use a bead cap. And if we thread that bead on now, the bead cap is actually stopping him from coming off. Now you can use daisy spacers, baby balls, all sorts of things, but the idea is this has a smaller hole that gets stopped by the head pin, and as long as this either fits into there or is bigger than this, it'll act as a way of stopping that bead from coming off your wire. So, but we're not actually decorating with him. The other option you've got with head pins, just to show you a different type, of bead cap, you can also use them as little decorative pieces. So I've just got one sitting on top there, kind of like a little crown sitting on this ball. Lots of different ways you can use bead caps. They're very versatile. But for my purposes today, when I'm threading on, my dome is facing upways, and I'm then threading my turquoise bead. And what I love about this one when I hold it up is that the lines of this leaf are actually lining up to the bead. So you can get really funky when you're playing around with different textures and really enhance features of the beads as well. So we're just going to slide, this time go in the opposite direction so that cap is molding around the top, as you can see. So now we're actually going to pick up some tools. So this is where I'm using the ruler. This is one of the traditional ways of making earrings, and I'll show you the looper, which is one of the newer fun ways. So I've just got my bead sitting here at the top, nice tight grip to my ruler, and I'm just going to bend that head pin to a 90-degree bend using the ruler. Whilst I'm on the ruler, and as I said, flush cut facing the bead, I'm just going to cut at this one, or make a nick at the 1 centimeter mark, and then come back here, and you can just see the little nick there. You can make a full cut while it's on the ruler. My pliers are just a little dull at the front, so for me it's easy to come back and do it this way. Just hold and snip. And that flush side is towards the bead, so the sharper pointing end is here on the piece that I'm about to throw away. So I'm just going to repeat that process to get to this point, and then we'll do the 2 coils together. So I'm just threading on one bead cap with the points going up, threading on my bead, threading the other bead cap on, this time with the points going down, picking up my ruler, nice tight grip, 90-degree end, picking up the cutters, getting that marked at 1 centimeter mark, and coming back here and actually making my trim with the flush side pointing towards the bead. So now I have both beads cut, as you can see, and we're going to pick up our round nose pliers. So with the round nose pliers, you need to work out, and this comes with practice. So on this particular tool, I'm about nearly halfway along, and I've just got the very tip of that wire held in my pliers here. And I'm going to do a coiling action. You might want to pop up a little bit. I'm just doing coiling action. It's going to tilt my wrist this way. Let me just swing out. So you're covering my wrist, Mum. Okay. So we're just grabbing that at the very tip, and we're going to curl your wrist away from you. So that action, again, is curling your wrist that way. Thank you. And down. Okay, now I'm going back into my loop that I've created. So you can see the loop that's partially created there. Okay, oops. That's the partial loop. I'm just going back in with my tool now. And so this side is actually going to be controlling the curve. And this is one is where it's actually going to be curving. And I'm curving my wrist again. And I'm just adjusting the whole thing back against my thumb, curling around until I get my loop. Okay. So we're going to do that whole process again on this one. We're just grabbing the very tip of our wire. For me, I'm nearly halfway, and I'm going to curl my wrist away from, sorry, I'm just making sure you can see the wrist movement on this one. And we're just making the curl, and my wrist, as you can see, is rolling forward. So that's a rolling this way action. Now you can come down. We're going back in here, and we're just smaller movements this time. And you can see I've just caught it there. So I'm putting my thumbnail here, pushing that whole thing back, and I'm just completing that curve just with some small micro movements until I get my loop. Okay, so now I have my 2 beads locked in their little cute caps, and I'm ready to put some ear hooks on. So I have got some little baby small ear hooks here, and this time I might show it to you with my chain nose pliers. So I am just going to tilt up. Now, a lot of people naturally would tilt down. When you do that, this is going to fall off. Not so easy then when you're working. If I tilt it up, this guy's trapped. If it's tilted down as I am here, and you thread upwards, it may not always stay. And if it bounces, it falls off. Whereas if you're tilting upwards, it's easy to thread on because you've got the hook at the top, and he's going to stay there if you move your hand. And then with the chain nose plier again, we just come and twist down. I'm just going to give that a nice little squeeze there. And you can see I've got one little earring already made, ready to go. So in a couple of minutes, you've got one, and in another couple of seconds, I'm going to have the second one. So again, we're just opening that little twist. These twists are generally on the back end of the ear hook, so closest to this part. And we're just threading on, and we are twisting close. And now I have a pair of cute little melon earrings with a little ear hook and cute little bead cap detail all ready to wear. So that's 3 of the 4 pairs of earrings we're going to make today. So I'm now switching to using the looper tool. So with the looper tool, I am threading on my first bead. This is a 8mm Swarovski crystal this time. So I'm just holding him like that, and I'm going to thread through the looper. So I'm pushing all the way through, so my excess head pin wire is coming out the hole on the side here, and I've got my bead nestled right up to the edge here. This side here is what's going to cut and do my curling action. So all I need to do is just a gentle squeeze, and instead of having to use the ruler and everything, I've got my eye. All I need to do is just come back in there with the very tip. I'm just going to push that back against my thumb, just open that up a little bit more. come back in and round that. So now you've got a perfectly closed loop. Okay, so we'll repeat that part of the process with another head pin. Okay, so we're threading through the looper, bead nestled right up close to this guy, and we are cutting. Okay, and so again, this time it's left it a little bit open, which is fine. That's why you come back with your round nose. I'm just going to bend it back just to open that up a bit more, and then come back in and curl it. And that gets me a nice centered loop. The bending back is how you keep your loops nice and centered. So now I've got the bottoms of these earrings done, but we're actually going to do a dangle style earring. So to do that, I need a loop at the top and the bottom of these little silver beads to make my little fun drop earring. So for that, I'm picking up my looper again and the offcut of one of the earring wires from before. Now this is the sharp end that was cut off. So I'm just putting that here just at the cutter. I don't need to go all the way through. And I am just cutting and creating a little curl. So you can see I've created what's now referred to as a head pin. So he's not completely closed. So just, again, using my round nose just to give him a nice close and just getting him nice and flat. From there, it's the same process as before. Threading on my head pin and setting him up, and around we go. Just tightening that up. And we've now got a nice double looped bead. Okay, so we'll do that whole process again, and then we'll assemble. So the offcut from the other one, we're just going to make our eye pin, and we will just tighten that off just a little bit. Okay, and then we grab our bead, so we're at the same spot again, and onto the looper. One of the things I like to do is create a figure 8 effect. So I always have my loop. So that's the loop with the cut facing up. I like to have it facing down towards my body as I'm holding the looper. So we're on the looper and we're twisting. So by figure 8, if I do a circle, I go round, round, and back. So it just puts a little bit more strength into the loops that you're creating as you go. Okay, so now we have our 4 beads ready to assemble. Okay, getting scraps out of the way. I'm going to pick up my trusty bent nose again, but again, you could use a pair of chain nose pliers for this. These are just my preference. So I've got that loop with the join just there. I'm just going to tip that up towards me, pick up the little bead we made before and thread that on and twist that close. So now I've got the start of an earring. I am going to grab my ear hook and twist that loop up, thread him on, twist that back down, and there is my little dangle earring already done. So we'll assemble the other one now. It is find that loop, lift it up, drop the other loop on, twist close. Now, I twisted the link on the earring last time. You can also twist the little loop here. I've just got to find it. So I can also do it this way. I can twist that guy up, thread my ear hook on, and twist that close. It's up to you which way you go. I do it equally both ways. And there is a pair of really cute little dangly earrings. So that gives you 4 different pairs of earrings. So we did the glued little cabochon lever backs that just use glue. We did the glue into a pendant setting, used 1 plier just to open and close the loop and attach. We used the ruler, the round nose, some cutters to make these cute little bead cap melon balls. And then we've used the looper here to do double links and create a dangle effect earring. So I hope you've enjoyed this about 20-minute video. If you'd like to let me know which of the 4 styles you'd like to learn or like to play around with and some color options, then I can put some kits together for you and send you all the materials. If you let me know what tools you do and don't have as well, kind of along the lines of what I've showed you, we can help you out there as well. But that's it for now. Have fun. Look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye.